What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Pokey Scout.
It's Genelac Gaming.
And this is Pokey Scout.
It's Genelac Gaming.
And this is Critical
Hitz.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys are having a very lovely day. Thank you for joining us on episode 9 of the podcast. Genelac, can you believe we are at episode 9 already, dude?
No, you're lying.
It's been 11 weeks. Been almost, a little over 2 months since we started this bad boy?
Dude, that's crazy. Thanks everybody for who's still here and for all the newcomers too. That's crazy.
Yeah, thank you guys very much for being here. We hope you guys are enjoying all the content that we've been putting out. You know, we're just trying to go viral.
Yeah, it's all about views, baby.
So we don't really have an agenda for you today because really today's episode is off the cuff, and the reason being is because we were having a long conversation about the state of the current Pokemon market, and by that I mean how these big influencers are coming into our hobby and making it their own, right? When there's nothing wrong with that, okay? No, Pokemon is not this, segregated sect of nerdiness that, we need to keep people from joining, but it's bringing in a lot of money and a lot of attention, and I think it's taking away from the general normal collector. And Genelac, you had more I'd say harsher feelings on that. So I'd love to know what you think.
I just think it's becoming a rich man's game. That's what I'll say is like, and again, I don't like it, the growth of the hobby is great, and a lot of people talk about when Logan Paul got involved, that really made the hobby explode. Well, now there's not as big a names as Logan. Obviously, that's a huge name, but I would say it's more saturated than ever. You are seeing multiple professional athletes, multiple influencers that never touched Pokemon in the past. And I'm not saying that they didn't like Pokemon, but they're making it a part of their content now, right? I got a guy, his name's Disguised Toast. I love Disguised Toast, by the way. Shout out Disguised Toast. I used to watch his Hearthstone streams way back in the day. So he's not new to card games.
Bro.
I saw him at a card convention. And he's doing Pokemon now. Not full time, but that's what I'm saying is you're getting some big names with a lot of money behind them, right? I saw Derek Lively, Grant Williams, both NBA players. Yeah. It's just Noah, what's his name? The couples content guy.
Yeah, Noah and Sarah? No, not Noah and Sarah. Goodness, man, I can't think of.
I can't remember
what their names are.
You know what? Shout out. I mean, Noah's great, right? Like, he's nice. He seems like a super nice guy.
Oh, yeah.
But again, he was couples content, and now he has a lot of content around Pokemon. So all it's doing is, first of all, bringing these people in that have oodles of cash, right? And it's making it even more popular. So if you're a standard Joe, an average Joe, and you want to go out and buy cards, it's not getting any easier.
Yeah, dude, and I mean, from my perspective, I cannot get product from the distributor for under $4.16 per pack. And that's like for every product right now.
That's like double.
Yeah, we used to get it for $2.75, and now granted, I'm not saying these influencers have a direct correlation with why the price of the product is so high, but I think a lot of people are starting to take notice, especially when people have millions of followers. They're like, well, you know what? We can send them $1,000 in product, and that pushes $15,000 to $100,000 in sales to our websites, and that just drives up the secondary market. Now, granted, I don't think the secondary market can stay this hot this long, especially when you see all the reprints that are coming.
Dude, this is, and I said this to you earlier, and you were like, we got to talk about this on the podcast. At first, I was like, you know what? This is not that much worse than Peak Shining Fates, Logan Paul, right around that post-COVID era.
Yeah.
I am rescinding that statement. This is the worst it's ever been. And this is the hottest that the market has ever been. For all the reasons we're talking about. Fire sets. From Surging Sparks to Prismatic to Destined Rivals to now the Mega stuff. Black Bolt, White Flare. These are all incredible sets. You have all of these influencers getting involved. You have all of the Pokemon investors getting involved. We're going to talk about that too, by the way.
Oh,
Spoiler alert. There's never been a harder time to be in the hobby if you don't have a surplus of income to be in the hobby.
I would say Pokemon in general is the hottest it's ever been. Not just a trading card game, dude. I would say the amount of people that are doing streaming right now that are just finding out that Poke MMO is a thing. And so they're going on to Twitch and they're just saying, let's just do a Fire Red Leaf Green playthrough. And they're like, oh my god, you can do randomizers, shiny hunts. Like, the amount of streams or Pokemon streams that I see are out of control, dude. I can't wrap my head around it that this Pokemon craze is happening now following all the influx of people that are like, well, you know what? I grew up with Pokemon. When in fact, no, you grew up like knowing Pokemon existed.
You grew up on black and white. Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. It's just it's so interesting to see, and I think you're right, dude. That with Pokemon being the hottest that it's ever been, it is going to become a rich person's game because you see so many people on social media right now that's like, I just spent $50,000 on Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield product, and you know my net worth's 150 grand, and you're just like, you spent 30% of your net worth on Pokemon? Why would you ever do that? You know, and it's like, okay, I get it if you're doing it as an investment, but I feel like investors overall are kind of ruining the hobby.
You know, I got 2 points to this. The first is, you want to know how I know Pokemon's at a peak?
Tell me.
My coworker the other day told me he saw people playing Pokemon Go. Like
Actually
Pokemon Go,
witness.
yes, like Pokemon Go is at a peak right now. And whenever Pokemon Go peaks, Pokemon is peaking because Pokemon Go can take over the planet.
Yeah.
You know, I've had multiple people talking to me like, hey, like, is Pokemon Go back? And I'm over here like, it never left. But in theory, it did from a popularity perspective. So, no, the general public eye is seeing Pokemon Go again. They're seeing people out in the streets playing and establishing a community, and it's a big deal, right? So that's my first point. That's how we know that it's peak.
Yeah.
Second of all, Pokemon investors. I got a statement to make. I argue that the Pokemon investor side of our community is going to be larger than the Pokemon collector side of our community in like 2 years.
I would argue that it's already bigger because I think a lot of the collectors are burnt out. I think a lot of the collectors are
you might be
burnt
right,
out of
actually.
seeing- No, and I mean, this is the legitimate answer that I think so many collectors now are seeing these massive bags of money and these high rollers that go to collecticons, and everybody's doing these vending
They go buy
shows.
cases,
And
pallets.
that's what I'm saying. And I think something, and this is, you know, not me reaching at straws, right? I was talking to somebody who was watching a lot of new, like, vending content, these vending series. You scroll through YouTube, brother, and every fourth episode is somebody that's doing a vending series. And a lot of people are like, yeah, I watch these vending series, and all it is just, I spent 30 grand at Collecticon. I just bought a $15,000 slab. I did this, I did that. And people are kind of like, I want to see those deals, but I don't want to be a part of them. And so now they're kind of like, how do I get involved?
It's more about the money than the card, too, by the way.
Yes.
They're saying, I bought a $15,000 slab, and then they show the card.
Yep.
They're not saying, I just got my grail. I just bought a gold star yachty. No, it's always the money.
Exactly. And I think that is discouraging the average collector. I just think collectors don't want to be involved in this environment anymore as long as it's always about money. And the sad thing is that it will continue to be about money. I don't know if we're going to see a valley in the Pokemon market or the Pokemon community for honestly the next 10 years, realistically, because you think about them bringing back megas, and we were talking about how they're probably going to do this as a specialty set. 1 year, 4 sets, kind of like how they did Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and they're just going to push it out with megas being the gimmick, and then it's going to go into an entirely new dynamic, a part of Gen 10, and it's going to be a new typing, or it's going to be something crazy that's going to drive the hype up even more, but still link back to the older generations or the older product to continuously drive up prices. I mean, that's just... That is what I would do if I were Pokemon.
The biggest problem with the Pokemon investing thing is that it used to be that they're preying on the collector, right? And like collectors can't get product because investors are taking it or scalpers are taking it. Well, now the problem is that Pokemon investing is so large and so widespread that Pokemon investors are trading with each other.
Oh god, yeah.
They don't even need the collectors to buy their stuff anymore.
No.
If you want to go, it is so big that if you want to go sell something, you could just sell it to a fellow investor now.
Yeah.
And that used to be the problem, right? It used to be, hey, you know what? Collectors are still the largest consumers in the market.
Yep.
So they can control this a little bit by not buying, right? Like, let's fight back against the scalpers.
Yeah.
And you could do that. Well, now the scalpers are making bank because the investors will pay scalper prices.
Yep.
Because investors say, I'll hold this 2 to 3 years and it will still be worth more than whatever I pay a scalper.
Yep.
Now they all have their entry points, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to buy it $250, I'll buy it $200, but that's still over MSRP.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude, I would...
So now, it's its own ecosystem now.
Yeah. Hot take for the episode. investors are just as bad as scalpers. And I have to say that, right? Because granted, and this is, a little bit of the pot calling the kettle black.
Because we've invested in the past.
Because
Absolutely.
we've invested, right? And now here's the deal is that what we have invested in, we haven't invested in pallets, right? Like some of these people are investing in. They are taking so much product in initial releases and follow-on releases. I mean, they're spending like 15 to 50 grand, dude. You and I buy a case of booster boxes every
I would get
release,
like a case, yeah.
Right? But that's what I'm saying, right? So, yes, we are investors, but...
Well, I haven't been able to lately. I want to be very clear. I haven't bought a case of booster boxes since Sword and Shield. Because you can't get it. You can't get it.
Exactly, right? The only case of booster boxes you could buy right now is Journey Together, and that's from distribution. But anyway, so again, I said this, it's a little bit of the pot calling the kettle black, but the amount of people that are coming in and spending, 5, 6, 7 figures on Pokemon, it's taking away product from the standard investor, consumer, collector, whatever. And I always think that, hey, it's good. If you can get your hands on a sealed case of booster boxes, great. You have no idea what could happen.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
there are guys that bought a sealed case of Evolving Skies booster boxes for $700 and now it's worth 15 grand. But it's like stuff happens. They followed the hype and it went well for them. But I think my big thing with investors are the people that are taking so much product away from the open market.
Well, and you said it. Like, even if everybody were to grab one case, that's not going to just completely destroy the market.
Yeah,
right?
but there's like
the people
20
who can
people
afford it,
that are grabbing 20 cases a piece, and that's...
There you go.
That's me short shooting it, dude. Like, it's more like
it's way
2,000 people buying 200 cases a piece.
Yeah. Which is, let's do the math here, people. What's 2,000 times 200? We'll pop the...
You want to pop the answer up?
2,000 times 200 is that 400,000?
2,000 times 200, so 4, add 2 zeros. Yes.
Yeah. 400,000.
Yeah. I mean, that's 400.
So there you go.
That's 400,000
booster boxes. 400,000
cases.
No, cases.
Excuse me. Yes, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's the equivalent to 400,000 people buying one case.
Isn't that crazy?
So, I mean, listen, I love that people are learning financial literacy, but can it not be through our hobby? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
no, I agree.
And there's gonna be people that are gonna get burned, man. Burned. Like, you talked about that guy. I saw some guy. He has like 300 followers on TikTok. I've never seen him in my life. And the first clip I see is, I just bought $50,000 worth of Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet this week. And I'm looking at this guy, and I'm like, I feel like I would have heard of you if you had the money.
Yeah.
I mean, unless he's like an investment banker or something, and now he's getting involved. I have no idea what his background is. Yeah. But even then, $50K in a week is nuts. God, that is crazy talk.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe he owns a store that I'm not aware of. I have no idea.
No, he absolutely could. And again, I mean, a lot of these store owners, and this is another thing that just, dude, it irks me so bad, are store owners or people that have back-end deals with distribution or third-party packing companies, right? Like the companies that sell to Walmart, those stupid mystery boxes. Those third-party companies that make those mystery boxes, they do backdoor deals with other local card stores because they've already got grandfathered deals with a distribution or Pokemon directly. And it's irritating to see that they can, get thousands and thousands of packs and then go to one guy and say, hey, big dog, if you want to sell all these packs, at $4 a piece, right? We got them for $2.25. Okay, we'll split the profits with you 70-30. And so all the guy has to do is just put one post on Facebook, sells all the packs for $4, and now they're on Whatnot for $11 a piece. I mean, and that's just how it works, and it's annoying as hell. But that's capitalism. That's what is going to keep the motor running.
I mean, I know good collectors that, to your point, are very burnt out. I mean, I have to go through way too much effort to try and find anything to open at all. Unless you're, it is. And the problem is, it's been a long time like this too. It's been a long time.
It's been over a year, easily. Yeah.
So I don't know. I agree with you. There is a chance that investing is bigger than collecting right now, which is not what we want. You do want some investors. I'm going to say that. You always want some people investing. It keeps the high end of the market. It keeps vintage, frankly, sealed, right? Like, there's value there. So you want some. But right now, everybody wants to be a Pokemon investor,
Yep.
There are so many creators out there that are like, I'm going to open a Pokemon card business. Come with me. I just bought $10,000 worth of product. 95% of these guys fizzle out and lose money.
Yeah.
First of all, because there's not a market for that. We can't have every single person in the community be a vendor. It's not how it works.
Yeah.
Right? 2, I have diversified my portfolio into an asset. That asset is Pokemon cards. Track my financial journey. That's why I stopped the Profit or Not series. I stopped it entirely. Remember, I started the beginning of this year with the Profit or Not series?
Yep.
And the whole series was, I'm going to open a Pokemon card pack a day to see if I can make money.
Yeah.
Well, A, Pokemon card packs got way too expensive.
Yep.
And B, I realized, I was like, oh my God, everybody's just about the money right now, and I don't want to be that.
Yeah.
Right? I don't need to teach people how to make money doing Pokemon cards. There are 50,000 other influencers trying to do the exact same thing.
You need to teach people how to lose money in Pokemon.
Well, that comes to my third point. Now we got people doing trade down challenges.
Yeah.
That's where we are. Like, it's like we're at the point where we're trying to trade down as a part of content instead of, dude, look at this. Look at this sweet card. Yeah. Look at how cool this is.
Yep.
That's what content used to be.
Yeah.
Like, shout out Coop's Collection, one of my favorite creators, because that dude's what the community is about, right?
Yep.
He's interacting with people, he's making trades with the collectors, and he has free binders, and they're like, and his favorite Pokemon's freaking Steelix, and we know that about him. That's awesome.
That is a stand-up guy, and I wish that there were more people like him, but, you know, I mean, he did just hit 1 million followers on, I believe it's YouTube. Congratulations to you, Coop, by the way. That is outstanding, man. Well done. But no, dude, I like your original statement of saying that investors are good for the hobby, but it got me thinking. There has not been a time in Pokemon, in the TCG, that has been hotter where modern product is so valuable that people are doing direct trades for vintage product, like Skyridge booster boxes, Legendary Collection.
It doesn't make any sense.
And Team Rocket Returns booster boxes go for about 100K. I know of deals that are happening right now that it's just people trading modern slabs and modern cases, not in large quantities, for those booster boxes, plus a little bit of cash on top. But it's so hot that there's enough value in this modern product to get them to that $100,000, which is insane to think, because you could also take a first print run Evolving Skies booster box case that sells for anywhere between $15,000 and $20,000, right? And you can trade it for a Gym Challenge or a Gym Heroes booster box or any other vintage box. People are going to want to trade for it.
You know what? Agree or disagree? No, seriously, agree or disagree? Modern artworks are better than vintage artworks for Pokemon cards. 3, 2, 1.
Agree.
Disagree.
You disagree?
I disagree.
So I'm when you asked this question, right, and you said modern's better than vintage, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. I go back to modern as like XY. 2016 to now,
Sure.
I would say is modern. Prior to 2016, I would say is vintage. Some people might disagree with me there. I think that the full art introduction of the XY era and the alternate art promos they introduced, and then Sun and Moon capitalized off of, and then Sword and Shield made extremely popular. I think those cannot be beaten or competed with outside of cards like the Legend cards from Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and the Crystals and the WotC Hollows. But what
about the Gold Stars?
Oh yeah, that's a good point too. I'll throw the Gold Stars in there. But
and what about the first edition stamped cards?
That's the thing though. The first edition stamp is
I love
cool.
stamps.
Well, I love stamps, but I love staff promos, and I love, like
I'm all
stamps
about
for
those
the
first
sets.
ed stamps.
And well, that's fair. Okay, first edition stamps, that's fine with. But I just think, dude, that modern in general is better artworks, and it's just because of how they've evolved. Now, it doesn't mean I don't like vintage stuff. This is a high diff question, bro. But tell me why you disagree.
I think that oh my gosh, I'm gonna sound like you. I think that the originals we need to give the originals some credit here, some respect here. Not gonna lie. Oh my god, this is a complete role reversal. I'm giving the OGs some credit here. I might have to rescind my statement. I think you might be right. I think the artworks themselves are probably better.
Yes.
But the nostalgia factor for anybody that grew up on it is there for me. And so I think what we're seeing is that modern prices are as high or higher than vintage because more people want it.
Yes, and it's
because
also
there are more new collectors.
Yes. Well, exactly. To capitalize off that, there's more collectors that don't know what they're missing out on, right? Which is why the play for vintage in the last 2 years skyrocketed, right? And it's what we were talking about, the Gold Stars, saying that people were buying them up. And people were buying them up because they didn't realize they existed, and then the people that knew about them were like, well, wait a second, we got to snatch these up before anybody else does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think
But I also think people are just looking at the cards.
They're
just looking at the cards and they're like, I think people are just looking at the cards and they're like, this doesn't look as good. Like they're looking at a vintage card, and unless they have the nostalgia factor, I mean, if you're looking at them at face value, a full art or an alternate art or an SIR is going to look better than 95% of vintage cards at face value.
Yeah.
What brings vintage cards up is the population. And the fact that we loved them because it reminds us of a simpler time. If you don't have that remembrance, I kind of get it. It looks like a regular card. Like, oh, look at this vintage card. Like, that's how some of these modern collectors look at them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the deal. Face value is everything in Pokemon right now.
No, like, look at
anybody
these.
cares. Yeah, dude, 2 of the coolest Lugia artworks we've ever had.
Which one do we like better? If we had both of these in a 10, which one do we like better?
Oh, both of them in a 10? Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. I think I've got to take, I want to say Neo Genesis, bro. I want to so bad.
And why is that?
It's because it's one of the cards that I had as a kid, bro.
Bingo.
So
if you weren't collecting, and you look at these 2 cards, which artwork is better?
The Silver Tempest. Easy. There we go. We made our points. The fact that it's so popular right now is due to people not knowing or having nostalgia with the older sets or the anime or the games or the memories, whatever. And they only want to collect the new stuff because it looks good. Oh, dude, you better show him. Come on.
Frank cameo.
Hello, Frank. How are you, buddy?
This is Frank, everybody. Hey, Frank, come over here. Hello. I don't have anything, bud. Oh, he's gonna try though. He's gonna try.
Oh, he's adorable, dude. Yeah, I mean, back to what we were saying. Not to diss Frank over there. I think as people start recognizing how
that's why
much
you're
stuff
seeing those
they missed,
trades.
Yeah, dude, they're going to want to trade more, and the value of vintage is just going to keep going up. I don't know why it wasn't hitting some of these numbers now. I mean, if you think about it, a base set booster box, for the last 6 years roughly, it was selling for anywhere between $10,000 and $15,000.
Do you think vintage is going to keep going up when people don't have the nostalgia factor to it? I'm not trying to be devil's advocate here. I'm being serious.
Yeah.
If you think about this, if I have no ties to vintage whatsoever, why do I want it then?
Here's the deal. It's the influencers that are key here.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
So hear me out, and I think you already know what I'm about to say. The influencers are going to start because they can afford it. They're coming in with oodles amount of money, like you said earlier, and they're like, oh my God, dude, this is so cool. Okay, so what sets came out when I was a kid? And they might go and they might remember, they might say, I remember seeing some of these packs, or they might just fake it and be like, you know what, this will be really good for streaming. How about I buy this $40,000 booster box and we rip it? Correct me if I'm wrong, dude. That is what's been happening. You see like Clover cards and loose packs. All these guys, I mean, every other week, it's let's rip a Skyridge box. Hey, let's rip a Legendary Collection box. Hey, we're ripping Gym Challenge.
Think it's, you know what it is then? What you're saying is it's FOMO. People want to rip it before it's gone.
Yep.
That's really that's the allure of vintage, is people want to rip it before it's gone.
That's why it's going to go up.
But more collectors value, I would argue we are getting to the point where more collectors value modern over vintage. A collecting standpoint. We're not talking about the investors right now. I think the investors also value modern over vintage, but they should because there's more room for growth on the modern side. That makes a ton of sense to me. That's like buying a small company versus a large company. You're always going to want to buy the small company and hope it gets bigger.
Yeah.
Duh.
Or buy the big company because you know that it's going to remain stable.
Well, yeah, but almost no one can buy a big company.
That's totally fair, right? But that's, again, where the influencers come in. But yes, again, the FOMO argument is 100% accurate. That is everything that I mean to say, because the prices that it's at don't reflect the demand right now. And it's slowly starting to get there. Okay, people sooner or later are going to realize, like it's the guys that invested in Bitcoin. It hit 70,000. They say I should have bought Bitcoin at 20,000, right? And then it goes down to 50, and they're
Then it
like,
goes up to
oh,
100.
yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, good thing I didn't buy at 70. And then it goes up to 100, and they're like, shit, I should have bought at 50. You know what I mean? Like that's what's happening right now.
Or
in the
70.
Pokemon market.
At that point, you buy at 70 and you make
Yes.
30%. No.
Exactly.
So I agree with you. I think that vintage will always have more value than modern.
Yep.
I also think that vintage will have more value than modern in the sense that it was printed way less. Modern still, you got to look at the pops, guys. Please go look at the populations. There is no way that that some of these modern cards are gonna is the ratio that different of supply and demand where there are really that many more people who want a modern card over a vintage card that if you have 10,000 copies versus 10 copies, there are 10,000 people that want that card and only 10 people that want the vintage card. That's the part that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Is you gotta think the supply and demand is still on the side of vintage, no matter how big modern gets. There's just so many more cards.
I'll
you see what I'm asking?
This. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see where you're trying to get to. What I would put it, and this is kind of what you said, is there's a Dark Tyranitar card from EX Team Rocket Returns. Okay. It is a Pop 5 and a PSA 10, and it's stamped EX Team Rocket Returns, and it's it looks like lightning just struck behind it, and so it's got a shadow over half its body. It looks, if I find a picture of it, I'll put it up. But it's a great artwork. There's only 6 copies in a PSA 10, and it's worth $8,000. This was a fairly common card growing up. The fact that it's at $8,000 puts it on the higher end of PSA cards or chases from the set. And then you look at modern, you look at the Moonbryon from Evolving Skies that has a population report of 40,000 PSA 10 copies. And it's still selling for, what, $2,500?
But look at the Lovebirds. Look at the Lovebirds.
Up,
I know, but that's what doesn't make any sense is the Lovebirds are what? 8? They're the same. Are they 8 grand, 9 grand, 10 grand? How much are Lovebirds?
God, dude, I want to say 10 grand. Couldn't tell you.
Last sold on the Lovebirds is $9,300 in a PSA 10. That's the last sold. Okay. There are 2,013 PSA 10s.
Jesus Christ.
So you're trying to tell me the Dark Tyranitar.
Yeah.
8 grand.
Yeah.
There's 5 of them. 5 people get to own this card. And there are 2,000 of the Latios. Yep. And so that's what you're telling me. If you think about this from a ratio perspective, what you're telling me is that there's 10 people that want the Dark Tyranitar card, so they're driving up the price a little bit. Yeah. And there's 4,000 plus people that want the Latios. And I think that might be true.
That honestly, I mean, yes, I would agree. I 100% agree.
Are we breaking our own argument then? Are we saying okay, well, maybe vintage will stay stagnant because not that many people care comparatively to the modern chases?
I think people look at it as saying it's not worth the effort, but it only takes, here's the deal, right? With vintage.
If, let's say a big influencer says,
vintage can climb easier as far, well, actually, no, I might not even be right on that. I was going to say this Tyranitar, right? Let's say it does sell, one of the copies sells for $8,000, okay? One person sees the pop reports and knows, holy crap, there are only 6 copies in the world. So if I'm going to pay for this card, if I'm going to own it, I have to pay $8 grand. Now he can take that card and go, well, you know what? I need to sell this. If I need to sell it tomorrow, I know that this guy, that whoever he finds, can only own one of 6. I've got one of them. I know the other 5 aren't selling it publicly anywhere. So now he's got to pay my price of $8,200. No matter what, right? There's no recent sold. This was a private sale. So I think vintage at some point for very low pop cards, if there's no public sales, it can climb higher. Because you can step faster. You can sell it for whatever price you want. Modern, that's why it explodes in periods of 6 to 18 months. Because a lot of Latios Lovebirds were only $1,500 for the longest time. And then they blew up to about, $4,000 a piece. And now they're at 10, 6 months later.
I'll say this. If a prominent influencer came out, and I'm talking big time, right? Yeah. We're talking Deep Pocket Monster, one of the big 10, we'll say that.
Yeah.
If they came out and they said that their favorite card was the Dark Tyranitar from EX or Team Rocket Returns, I guarantee you, people go look, they see that it's a pop 5. One of 2 things is going to happen. That the price of that card is either going to astronomically skyrocket.
Yeah.
or people are going to give up. And they're going to look at that and be like, dude, there's only 5 cards. I have 0 chance of owning this.
But you know what they
So
are going to do
that
is they are going to start looking at other cards similar to it. But we already saw this with PokeRev, right? Remember, it took him however many packs, 3,000 packs to pull the Aerodactyl from Lost Origin. Aerodactyl went from $60 to $150 overnight. And then he said, I think the Umbreon standing atop the steps is better than the Moonbreon. It was
You're never going to give this up, are you?
I'm never going to give it up. I hated PokeRev for doing that. I don't actually hate you, dude. I was in the middle of
love
buying
Rev,
a bunch
but
of
you
copies.
did hate him for doing that.
I did hate him for doing that. Rev, I was in the middle of buying like 6 or 7 copies because I wanted a whole binder full of them. And you made that video. Next day, the card was at $200. Like,
hey, you could still make binder, baby.
Well, yes, I know, but I was still like, that's crazy. And I think I called you when it happened. But anyway, so
You did.
yeah.
You were so mad.
Yes. But granted,
You were like,
I think,
no.
I don't know, man. We might have to rescind our argument there. I think we might be wrong.
I don't even know what our original argument was.
At this point, I say we just go ahead and say vintage, cool, modern, cool, but we can't get get either of it. So what does it matter?
Yeah, you can't get either. What's more wanted? Probably modern from a popularity perspective.
Yeah.
What's more valuable? I still think vintage. Like I still think as more money comes into the hobby, as people, start to look at their heroes and, that kind of stuff, and just from a population perspective, I think vintage there will be certain modern cards that will always be the grails of modern, right?
Yep.
And I think we're seeing those come to life, but with the Moonbreon, Sunbreon, Latios, the Greninja, like, yes, there are going to be some, but all in all, vintage is at its price peak for a reason. I don't expect I don't think there will be as many modern cards worth 8 to 10 grand comparatively to vintage. I think that modern cards will top out at that $2,000 to $3,000 mark because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a few that go above that.
Yeah.
And then vintage, I think, will always have a higher floor. Lower ceiling, higher floor.
No,
I don't even know if the lower ceiling is actually true either.
I don't think that's true. I'm gonna say that the lower ceiling piece I don't think is true, but when you're talking about
base
cards,
set Charizard, nothing's gonna beat that ever.
Exactly, right? And
or Illustrator Pikachu.
There's another one, but I like your comment about the cards not breaking a certain price, because there are certain cards right now that I don't think people realize they're missing out on at the price that they're at. Like the Lugia, PSA 10 Lugia. How many times did we look at each other and go, we should buy a couple more copies of this while it's at $300, because it's going to be $1,000 card
Silver
soon.
Tempest?
And from Silver Tempest. And what happened last week? First one officially sold for $1,000, and now they are consistently selling at $1,000 in a PSA 10. And then the other card that I think that, we talked about this a little bit earlier, the Greninja SIR. I think that is soon to be...
Sky's the limit, baby.
I know. I think that's soon to be $1,000 card. And because it is
Sky's the limit.
The best Greninja card we have ever gotten. And Greninja is probably top 7 most popular Pokemon in the world. And I mean, I want to put it in top 5, but I mean, the initial ones that I'm thinking, I don't feel like it breaks that point. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's one Pokemon of the year. Let's put it that way.
As we talk about it more, when you think, okay, what modern cards are going to break, we'll say $2,500 barrier, right? Because that's a good enough barrier for me as far as modern. You say anything within 10 years, okay? Tag team artworks. Those are the cards that are breaking the $2,500 barrier, and they're not 10 years old yet.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure if Sword and Shield, I don't know how many of those will break the 2,500 mark.
Dude,
there's a lot of them, though.
I would argue that the Lugia is not going to break the $2,500 mark anytime soon. I'd probably say give it 3 years. Actually, no. In this
Moonbreon,
market,
I
I'd
think
say 2
technically
years.
has, right?
Moonbreon did, yeah. It way past.
Has anything else?
From Sword and Shield, no. I would say the cards that I think are going to
the
break
Ray, maybe.
I think so, maybe. I'd have to double check, but no, actually, I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't think I could tell you. I think it's only at like $1,200, maybe $1,700. But I would say the cards that I would anticipate breaking that $2,500 barrier following the Moonbreon from Sword and Shield are going to be the Giratina, maybe the Gengar, since everybody's all about this damn Gengar. The Sylveon, and man, I'd have to throw Breath of the Wild Rayquaza in there. That's it.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's anything else.
Maybe Blaziken. Maybe.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch. As much as I love my Blaziken VMAX,
I think you're right. I think you're right. We can stick with those 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those, with respect, are the only cards that in the next 2 to 3 years have a chance of breaking the $2,500 mark that we've set.
I mean, and to be clear, like, a lot of the alternate arts are going to hit $2,500 in their lifetime because
easy.
Because that's money, right? Like, that's how money works. $2,500 is going to be a lot less 20 years from now than it is today, right? Like, that's just the nature of everything going up. So obviously, you know, when this podcast is out there 20 years from now and people are watching it because we're the greatest podcast that's ever existed, like, dude, I want to go back and watch the August 8th, 2025 one. Like, duh. What do these guys talk about? $2,500 is nothing. Well, right now it is, though.
Yeah, right now $2,500 is a lot to us, buddy. And I mean, could you imagine somebody actually having filmed a podcast back then talking about, you know, first edition Shadowless Charizard? Like, guys, this first edition Shadowless Charizard is on eBay right now for $500 at a PSA 10.
That's so much money.
Yeah. How
funny,
dumb
right?
they must feel now.
That's a funny concept, actually.
Dude, it's hilarious.
Inflation's crazy.
Yeah, there's somebody that was talking about this, you know, 20 years ago, saying, God, man, I can't afford $500. And if they just would have bought one card for $500, they'd be sitting on $145,000. No, $145,500, whatever. I can't do math.
Just goes to show that Father Time is undefeated when it comes to making money.
Hey, there you go, brother. That's the easy answer. But we are talking about some of these cards, and I want to think about this because Lugia, yes, Silver Tempest out of print. Did just hit $1,000 in a PSA 10. What cards from the Scarlet and Violet era that are not at $1,000 valuation in a PSA 10 do you think are going to be at $1,000 first?
I mean, we already said the Greninja.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I honestly think some of the evolutions from Prismatic that aren't at 1,000 yet will get there pretty quickly.
Yep.
I don't think the Glaceon's there yet, and I think that's actually one of the better artworks in all of those.
Yeah, I don't think it's there for money, though.
But I think it will be. I think it'll be one of the first is what I'm saying. I think Team Rocket's Mewtwo, if it's not already there, from Dust and Rivals.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think it's already there.
Any of the monochromes, if they're not already there. I actually think the Zekrom and Reshiram SIRs as well, if they're not, those will get there very fast. Legendary Dragons.
Yep.
I think those are my picks, to be honest.
I think those are definitely good picks, and I think my picks would have to be, number one, we already said the Greninja, right? Shout out to Twilight Masquerade. Ridiculous. Number two, I would have to say, right, the only chase in Twilight Masquerade. Number two is the Magikarp, dude, from Paldea Evolved. I mean, that is...
Oh, the Tyranitar's not bad from there as well.
Yeah, but the problem is people aren't chasing that Tyranitar.
Oh, you know? Duh. How can we leave this out? Seismitoad, dude. Seismitoad.
Oh, my God, dude. Yeah. Oh, the 666. Oh, my God. How the conspiracy theorists fall. Yeah, ridiculous, bro. That is so dumb. I hate that. I don't even know. I saw the whole, oh yeah, 666 guys, this is terrifying. It's this, it's that. It's like, shut up. Like, what, really? Is it that real? Are we that panicked about this?
I'm surprised you didn't say the Blastoise.
Well, I wasn't done, dude.
Oh.
Yeah, you said the Seismitoad. Like, as I said, the Magikarp. Crazy.
You know what? You're right. I interrupted you. That was rude.
That was rude of him. Can you believe him? No, dude, like, legitimately, though.
Give me some bad Genelax in the comment. Bad Gent.
Bad dog.
Yeah.
No, dude, I would say, yeah, Greninja, Magikarp, Charizard from 151, as much as I hate to say it. The Bubble Mew already hit it, right? The Moonbreon hit it. I think Sylveon was just shy. And I think that's another one that's, I mean, it's more than likely going to hit. The Mewtwo,
I think all the evolutions, for sure.
Yeah, all the evolutions, maybe, though. Because even the Evolving Skies evolutions haven't hit the $1,000 mark. So I don't know. I'm not going to be too hasty on those. And then I want to say the SIR Pikachu from Surging Sparks. But I think a lot of people kind of realize that Butterchew is not, like, the greatest artwork of all time. I mean, seriously, though, that's kind of what it is. And I think the Zekrom and Reshiram will probably do well over time. Not as great as people want it to do. But yeah, I mean, those are my picks, you know? And maybe even you could throw in the Charizard from Paldean Fates, because that is a good Charizard artwork. I will admit that. Like, as far as terrestrialization being
shiny, terrestrialization.
Yep.
I think a lot of people that played a lot of Scarlet and Violet, or this was their first set, that's what's going to be so interesting.
Yeah.
Is like in 20 years from now, the kids that are playing now, their favorite mechanic's going to be terrestrialization because that's what they grew up on. I know, isn't that crazy? They're going to be like, Megas? Terrestrialization, no?
Dude, terrestrialization, there's nothing that pisses me off more than Pokemon's laziness. I'm going to say that
Listen,
right now.
the mechanic itself, the mechanic itself is sick. The ability to change typings and get stab from that change in typing is incredible. That's awesome.
Great. Yeah.
The way that they drew it with the hats, how do you feel about that?
I said this before. Pokemon, stop putting shit on top of their heads. Cut it out. You're worth billions of dollars. You cannot tell me that it's not realistic for you guys to draw every Pokemon in that dex with a suit of armor. Like, all you had to do was just give it elbow pads, knee pads, and shoulder pads. That is literally it. Can you imagine
Ceruledge in armor? Double armored Ceruledge? Or its blades got even longer?
But that's my thing. I don't want to get into this again.
Guys, I am rage baiting Scout so hard right now.
I know. God, you jackwagon. Anyway, continue on with your other conversation. Terrestrialization, great idea.
No.
Poorly executed.
No, I think we got there, man. I think, those are the big hits. You know what? Let's wrap it up with an agree or disagree. Agree or disagree? Pokemon investing is now bigger in the hobby than collecting itself. 3, 2, 1.
Agree. Yeah, dude, I can't disagree with that statement because of the actions we are seeing these massive influencers take, and we talked about this the whole pod, guys. I'm sorry that we're reiterating this. I don't see Pokemon collecting being enjoyable or as enjoyable as it was a couple years ago for the next 2 years. I really don't, because I'm not even having fun calling up my buddies and saying, hey, you guys want to trade some cards, right? I'm looking for some playables, because they don't even have playables. Like, nobody has playables right now. So there's just no
Everybody
point
wants to
doing
make
so.
money.
Yeah, and everybody, like, playables, we used to get EXs for between 50 cents and $2 a piece. And now I got people that are like, hey, bro, these EXs, they're worth £5. Hell no. Absolutely not. I'm not paying
You think I would have paid £5 for a standard EX?
Yeah.
In a playing deck? No,
yeah,
fam.
No, bro. Yeah. So, hate to say it.
Okay, I got one more. Agree or disagree? The Pokemon Company should improve hit rates for playable cards. 3, 2, 1.
Disagree.
You want to think about it?
No, I think disagree. I don't know if improve hit rates for playable cards. Do we need like playable cards like standard EXs?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you improve hit rates for standard EXs, yes, you're still pulling stuff. And a lot of people know that the monetary value is not behind standard EXs. Now, if this was improving the hit rates a part of like full arts, right?
Nope,
So
we're not doing that.
So it's okay, yeah. So no, yeah, dude, I
just
don't really
EXs
know.
so that you can build your decks.
Me as a player, yes, I would love that. Like, me as a competitive DCG player, great, dude. I want, if you give me 36 packs,
you're like, open the gates, flood the market.
Yeah, if you're gonna give me a booster box, dude, yeah, I want basically 1 out of every 2 packs to have at least an EX. Because I want to be able to build a deck, right? And I want the chance of pulling, the Mewtwo EX or Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX. I want to be able to pull 4 copies or 3 copies. I can build a deck with 3 copies, right? Because I can run a Night Stretcher and I can pull it back with a Super Rod or whatever. From a collector's side, I don't really want that. EXs are hits, but I would like, to get the illustration rares and the full arts. No, they are.
There isn't they aren't. No, there's no, and they're not out. No, collectors are not saying, I pulled an EX, I got a hit.
Oh, I mean, honestly, you're probably right.
They act like it is.
Yeah.
EXs are becoming hollows to me.
Oh, that's so true. They are, though. You're right.
You can only they keep coming up with more and more rarities, right? It was first it was EX, and then there were an IR or an alt. Then it was EX. There's a full art and there's an alternate art. Now there's EX, full art, IR, SIR. They're just making more of them.
So you think the standard EXs now are the new hollows?
Yes. What you go to a store and they'll only offer you $1 for it. That's the same crap they used to do with hollows.
You're not wrong, dude. Yeah, no, that's fair. But as far as the agree or disagree, I think I'm gonna have to stick with shit. I don't know. I decline to answer. I really don't, bro, because I'm thinking 2 different sides. Yeah, I'm thinking 2 different sides here, because one, yes, I don't want my box to be saturated with EXs as a collector, but I also want it to be saturated with EXs as a player, because I want to make the damn decks.
All right. I'll give it to you then. I'll give you my response.
Okay.
Disagree, and I want them to lower the hit rates of everything.
I hate you.
Because I want holos to mean something again.
No,
I want rares to mean something again. I want the TCG. I want the TCG to be structured. I want the format to be structured around rares. I want EXs to be, oh man, that guy's running an EX. That's kind of high risk, high reward because you get 2 play points. No. Let's bring it back, baby. I want my Groudon to make people tremble in their boots. That's
Single
what I
prize
want.
decks only, huh? Dude, no, I told you this. I would love for Pokemon to do an anniversary set, a legitimate anniversary set, and the highest rarity is holos. That is it.
Yep.
Like what I want, and no, well, I mean,
bring people back.
Well, they could do, and again, they could do this if they wanted. I would only accept the rarity being higher than holos, Master Balls, prismatic Master Balls.
Yes, and reverses. Yes.
No,
yes.
so but those are like the Master Ball is the highest rarity, and it's the hardest to pull. That's what I want.
Would love that.
I think Pokemon, and whether or not they're successful at it, I think that would be the coolest anniversary set ever, is them doing standard holos as the like the chase, the coup de grace, right? With
Bring us
there
back
being
in time.
like one Master Ball, per, we'll say one Master Ball per booster box, right?
You know what? I'll say something here.
What
I
you
want to
got?
improve upon your idea.
Okay.
Everything you just said, but I actually think the set would flop if we do this. I do. I'm sorry.
Okay.
People are too enamored with the full art stuff. I think it would flop. You'd have to market it really, really well. However, I have a solution for you.
Okay.
There is one singular card. There is a 1 of 1 in this. And that 1 of 1 is a full art.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Shadow Lugia.
Or it could be Shadow Lugia. It doesn't matter. But you do a 1 of 1 in this set
Yeah.
with everything else being regular holos.
You know what they should
Now,
do?
if you do that, it'll drive up the price of everything.
That's fair. But you know what they should do, and we already said this last podcast, they should do that set in conjunction with QR codes. Scanning QR codes directly on the card, and it brings you to Pokemon Go, Pocket, TCG Live, whatever they want to do. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for spending all this time with us, and discussing our pet peeves of the hobby, basically. But once again, guys, my name is Poke Scout.
I'm Genelite Gaming.
And this.
And this is Critical
Hits! Have a very lovely night.
And thank you, Scout, for staying up this late for the fans.
All for you guys.